My beloved child, listen closely, because this Christmas message was never random, never accidental, and never meant for everyone. There is a reason your eyes stopped here. There is a reason your heart felt a sudden pause when you saw this title. Heaven had been watching one home, one address, one silent place where prayers were whispered instead of spoken aloud. And tonight, that home has been chosen. This Christmas, something sacred is unfolding. Not in a church full of people, not on a loud stage, but in a quiet house where faith was tested, hope was stretched thin, and belief almost gave up. Jesus has seen the tears that fell when no one was watching. Santa has seen the innocence that still survived despite disappointment. And Archangel Michael has been standing guard at the door of this home, sword drawn, waiting for the exact moment heaven agreed. This is not a fairy tale. This is not imagination. This is a divine interruption. The world thinks Christmas is about lights, gifts, and celebration. But heaven knows Christmas is about visitation. It is about God stepping into ordinary homes and rewriting impossible stories. And this year, there is one home that heaven circled, one roof under which destiny is about to shift. You may feel a strange heaviness in your chest right now, or maybe a warmth you cannot explain. That is not emotion. That is recognition. Because the message you are hearing was sealed long before December arrived. Archangel Michael speaks now, not with fear, but with authority. He says, this house has been watched. This family has been weighed, and their faith has not gone unnoticed. For months, even years, there were delays. Doors closed. Promises felt forgotten. Laughter faded. And yet, the light never fully went out. This is why this moment matters. Because what is about to happen was never meant to be skipped, ignored, or rushed. Heaven does not move in haste, but when it moves with precision. The timing of this miracle is exact. Too early, and it would have been wasted. Too late, and hearts would have hardened. But now is perfect. In this chosen home, there has been a silent battle, not one of noise but of endurance. Bills stacked up, conversations avoided, smiles forced for the sake of others. Someone in that house prayed a dangerous prayer. God, if you are still with us, show us. And heaven answered by assigning Michael himself to protect what was left of their hope. You need to understand this clearly. Jesus does not enter a home without purpose. Santa does not arrive where belief is dead. And Archangel Michael does not stand guard unless something valuable is about to be released. This Christmas carries a weight it has never carried before. There is a childlike faith still alive in that home. Maybe it belongs to an actual child. Maybe it belongs to an adult who refused to let go of wonder. That faith became the key. That belief unlocked a door even angels could not open without permission. Right now, spiritual eyes are fixed on one living room, one bedroom, one dinner table. What looks ordinary on the outside is glowing in the spirit. Heaven is not impressed by size, wealth, or perfection. Heaven responds to sincerity. Archangel Michael reveals that this miracle will not arrive loudly. It will not announce itself with fireworks. It will come quietly, almost gently. And that is why many would miss it. But not you. Not this time. There is a warning woven into this message. Distraction is the enemy of revelation. If you rush past this moment, you may miss the confirmation meant to anchor your faith for years to come. What happens next will answer questions you stopped asking out loud. This chosen home has been surrounded by unseen protection. Accidents that almost happened. Arguments that almost destroyed everything. Moments where giving up felt easier than holding on. Each time, intervention step in. And now, the atmosphere is shifting. Jesus is not coming to decorate this house. He's coming to restore it. Santa is not coming with temporary joy. He is coming to remind them that goodness still exists. And Archangel Michael is ensuring that nothing interferes with what has been decreed. If your spirit feels stirred, it is because this story touches closer to your life than you realize. The miracle may be assigned to one home, but the testimony will echo far beyond its walls. This Christmas is not about what you give or receive. It is about what heaven releases when belief survives the longest night. Do not treat this like another message. Do not let familiarity steal the weight of what is unfolding. Something ancient is being reactivated. Something promised long ago is stepping into the present. And this is only the beginning. What comes next will reveal why this home was chosen, what miracle is being prepared, and how Archangel Michael is already moving pieces behind the scenes in ways no human eye could predict. My precious one, as this revelation unfolds, understand that what heaven prepares in silence often shocks the world when it appears. The chosen home did not look ready for a miracle. In fact, if anyone had inspected it with human eyes, they would have said, "Nothing special lives here." But that is exactly why it was selected. God has always preferred the unnoticed place. The stable was not impressive either, yet glory entered it. Inside this home, routines continued like any other December. Lights were hung with tired hands. Decorations were placed with mixed emotions. Laughter came and went quickly. Someone there smiled for others but cried alone. And yet, every single act of endurance became a signal in the spiritual realm. Archangel Michael recorded it all. Every sleepless night, every whispered prayer, every moment they chose kindness instead of bitterness. This is important for you to hear now. Miracles are not rewards for perfection. They are responses to perseverance. In that house, doubt tried to settle in like dust. Thoughts whispered, maybe next year will be better, or perhaps God has forgotten this address. But heaven never lost track. Jesus never stopped visiting in unseen ways. And Santa, representing the innocence of belief, hovered like a reminder that wonder was not dead yet. There was a moment recently when someone in that home almost gave up expecting anything special this Christmas. They said it quietly, maybe only in their heart. And the moment those words formed, the atmosphere shifted. Archangel Michael stepped forward and declared, "Enough. The waiting season has reached its limit." The declaration did not shake walls. It shook timelines. What people do not realize is that delay is often protection. Had the miracle arrived earlier, it would not have survived the pressure surrounding that home. Too many hearts were fragile. Too many wounds were open. Heaven waited until strength returned, even if that strength looked small. And now, Christmas stands as the doorway. There is something symbolic about this season. Christmas is when light enters darkness without asking permission. It is when hope arrives wrapped in humility. That is why this miracle is tied to this exact moment. The timing itself carries meaning. You may feel as if this message is pulling on your spirit. That is not coincidence. A testimony of one home is meant to reignite faith in many others. God often uses one story to awaken thousands of sleeping hearts. As you listen, I want you to pause and reflect. Has your faith ever been tested quietly? Have you ever held on when no one clapped for you? If so, this message understands you. And if it is speaking to you, do not keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs hope restored. Like it so the message travels further. Comment so the sound of faith rises together. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a growing family that believes heaven still intervenes. Your simple action helps this word reach homes that are still waiting for their miracle. In the chosen house, something unusual begins to happen. The atmosphere feels lighter without explanation. Conversations soften. Old tensions lose their grip. Sleep comes easier. These are not random changes. They are signs of preparation. Before God moves externally, He always moves internally. Archangel Michael confirms that protection hath been intensified. What once tried to attack this family will not cross the threshold again. Spiritual resistance was strongest right before breakthrough. That is why discouragement felt heavier recently. The enemy sensed what was coming. But hear this clearly. Resistance does not mean denial. It means proximity. Jesus is not arriving with condemnation. He is arriving with restoration. He is not asking that family to prove anything. He is simply stepping in to finish what they could not fix themselves. Sadhu's presence in this message represents something deeper than tradition. It represents restored innocence, the ability to believe again, the courage to expect joy without fear of disappointment. That innocence is being returned to the chosen home, and Archangel Michael stands as the enforcer of heaven's will. What has been declared will not be reversed. What hath been scheduled will not be delayed again. If you are still here listening, do not rush away. What comes next reveals the nature of the miracle itself. It will not look the way people expect. It will arrive through an unexpected door, at an unexpected hour, in a way that leaves no doubt it was divine. Hold on, because the next revelation ties everything together in a way that will change how you see this Christmas forever. Beloved soul, now the veil begins to lift, because what heaven reveals next explains why this home was marked long before Christmas arrived. The miracle was not chosen because the family was loud in faith, but because they were faithful in silence. Heaven listens closely to quiet endurance. When prayers are whispered through tears, they rise with unusual power. In this home, there was a covenant made without words. Someone there chose love when it would have been easier to walk away. Someone chose honesty when deception felt safer. Someone kept believing when results said otherwise. That unseen obedience became the foundation for what is now being released. Archangel Michael reveals that this house stood at a crossroads. One path led to emotional collapse. The other led to divine intervention. The family did not know they were being tested, yet every choice nudged them closer to the path of rescue. Even their mistakes were used as markers for mercy. This is how heaven works. God does not wait for perfection. He responds to sincerity. As Christmas drew closer, spiritual activity intensified around this home. Dreams became vivid. Memories resurfaced unexpectedly. A sense of anticipation hovered, even when logic said nothing would change. That was not imagination. That was preparation. Jesus steps into this moment gently. He does not force doors open. He knocks through circumstances. A conversation that feels small. An opportunity that seems ordinary. A moment of clarity in the middle of confusion. These are the ways he enters. Santa's role in this message reflects something sacred as well. The restoration of joy without conditions. The return of expectancy without fear. Somewhere in that home, laughter will return in a way that surprises them. Not forced laughter, but genuine relief. The kind that comes when pressure finally lifts. Archangel Michael stands watch as the miracle approaches, not because it is fragile, but because it is valuable. When heaven invests deeply, it guards fiercely. What once drained this family will no longer have access. Now listen carefully. The miracle is not just about provision. healing, or restoration. It is about alignment. Things that felt out of place will begin to make sense. Relationships will shift naturally. Opportunities will align without struggle. Peace will replace urgency. This is how you recognize a God-ordained moment. There is no chaos in it. There is calm authority. You may wonder why you were led to hear this. It is because your faith is being awakened alongside theirs. Testimonies are contagious in the Spirit. What God does for one becomes permission for another to believe again. Do not minimize the season you are in. Christmas carries spiritual weight this year. Old promises are resurfacing. Forgotten prayers are being reviewed. Heaven is checking addresses again. In the chosen home, the miracle will unfold in stages. First relief, then clarity, then breakthrough. It will not overwhelm them. It will stabilize them. God restores gently so faith can grow strong roots. Archangel Michael declares that fear will not have the final word in that house. Anxiety will loosen its grip. The future will no longer feel threatening. Hope will feel safe again. This message is not entertainment. It is activation. If your spirit resonates, acknowledge it. Heaven responds to agreement. The moment you receive this, alignment begins. Type "I receive divine visitation" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 4321 has just been released. And hear the sacred invitation now, flowing directly from this revelation. When God chooses one home for a miracle, He also invites others to participate in spreading that light. I hear the Spirit saying, those who help carry this message will never lack. This is seed and harvest. This is oil poured so lamps do not go out. As you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal found in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are unlocking doors for souls who are still waiting for hope. I speak this over you. What you release will return pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Do not delay what heaven is stirring. Obey the nudge. Step into alignment now. Chosen one, now the focus shifts deeper into the unseen, because what happens after heaven makes a decision is rarely immediate, but it is always unstoppable. Once the decree was released over that home, the spiritual atmosphere began rearranging itself quietly. Nothing dramatic on the surface yet, but beneath it all, foundations were moving. This is how divine transitions work. God does not rush outcomes, He reshapes environments. Inside the chosen house, the people did not suddenly become aware that something was changing. They still woke up with the same concerns. They still faced the same responsibilities. But something subtle had shifted. Worry no longer felt as heavy. The future no longer felt like a threat. Peace began to visit without explanation. That peace was not emotional relief. It was a signal that control had changed hands. Archangel Michael reveals that once a miracle is approved, resistance loses its authority. It may still make noise, but it no longer decides outcomes. What once delayed answers can only observe now. The power to stop this blessing has already been revoked. This is important for you to understand, because many people mistake silence for absence. When God grows quiet, it is often because He is working deeply. The loudest miracles are usually the weakest. The strongest ones unfold with dignity and permanence. In that home, conversations began to change tone. Old arguments no longer carried the same charge. Unspoken resentment softened. Forgiveness felt possible again. These shifts were not forced. They were natural. Heaven always heals hearts before it heals circumstances. Jesus moves first in the inner rooms. He restores confidence before provision. He rebuilds trust before breakthrough. That is why this miracle is designed to last. There was a moment recently when someone in that house felt an urge to clean, rearrange, or let go of old things. That was not coincidence. Preparation happens instinctively when the Spirit senses arrival. Even without knowing why, they were making space. Santa's presence in this narrative continues to symbolize something deeper. The reawakening of childlike expectation. The courage to believe that good things can happen without a hidden cost. In that home, hope is becoming safe again. Archangel Michael confirms that the miracle will arrive through a channel that once seemed closed. Something that felt impossible will suddenly feel accessible. Not because circumstances changed overnight, but because divine permission was granted. This is how God surprises His children. He does not always create something new. Sometimes He redeems what was already there. The reason this message must be heard slowly is because revelation unfolds in layers. If rushed, it becomes information. But if received patiently, it becomes transformation. For you listening, this part is crucial. You are learning how God works so you do not miss Him when He visits your own life. Many people miss miracles because they expect noise. God often comes quietly. The chosen home will soon experience a moment of confirmation. Something small yet undeniable. A sign that removes doubt. It will not be dramatic, but it will be personal. Only they will understand its meaning. Archangel Michael calls this the seal. Once the seal is placed, nothing can reverse what follows. Faith will rise naturally in that house. Gratitude will replace fear. Anticipation will replace dread. And when the main miracle arrives, it will feel familiar, not shocking. That is because their spirit will already recognize it. This is how heaven avoids overwhelming fragile hearts. God restores gently. If your heart feels calm right now, that is intentional. This message is aligning you, not alarming you. What God is doing does not require panic. It requires trust. The reason this part matters is because many people give up in the quiet phase. They mistake peace for stagnation. But peace is proof that the battle has shifted. In that home, the hardest part is already over. What comes next will feel lighter. Movement will replace waiting. Answers will replace questions. And as this unfolds, you are being trained to recognize divine timing. Not everything happens quickly, but nothing God promises ever fails. Stay attentive, because the next revelation will uncover how this miracle connects to something much larger than one family. What begins in one home is about to ripple outward in ways no one expects. My dear one, now the vision widens, because what is unfolding in that chosen home was never meant to stay contained within four walls. Heaven never moves in isolation. When God touches one place, echoes travel farther than anyone expects. This miracle carries momentum, and momentum always has direction. After the quiet internal shifts, the external signs begin to line up. Not all at once, not dramatically, but with a precision that cannot be ignored. Small doors begin to open without struggle. Conversations that once led nowhere suddenly produce solutions. Obstacles that felt immovable lose their grip. Nothing feels forced. That is how you recognize divine flow. Archangel Michael reveals that this phase is called divine alignment. It is when scattered pieces find their correct position. A family does not feel rushed. They feel guided. Decisions become clearer. Confusion fades. The weight of overthinking lifts. In that home, someone notices that they are no longer reacting the way they used to. Old triggers do not control them anymore. Situations that once caused fear now feel manageable. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional healing. Jesus does not just restore circumstances. He restores authority. He returns the sense that life can be stewarded again instead of survived. Santa's symbolic presence continues to remind this household of something powerful. Joy can coexist with responsibility. Celebration does not require perfection. Wonder does not require wealth. Somewhere in that home, a smile appears unexpectedly, and for the first time in a long while, it stays. Archangel Michael confirms that spiritual protection remains active during this phase because alignment attracts attention. Whenever God begins to elevate, resistance attempts distraction. But distraction will not succeed here. Focus is being restored. This is where many people misunderstand miracles. They think the miracle is the final event. But often, the miracle is the turning point that sets everything else in motion. What is happening now is the repositioning for longevity. The chosen home is being prepared to carry what is coming. God does not pour new wine into fragile vessels. He strengthens the container first. You listening are learning something vital. If you are in a season where nothing dramatic seems to be happening but peace is increasing, clarity is growing, and fear is loosening, you are not being delayed. You are being aligned. In the chosen house, trust begins to return. Trust in God. Trust in timing. Trust in themselves. This is foundational. Without trust, even blessings feel unsafe. Archangel Michael reveals that something significant was prevented in the past. A collapse that almost happened. A loss that almost destroyed everything. Intervention stepped in quietly. That protection is why this miracle still has space to land. There is gratitude in the atmosphere now. Not loud gratitude, but deep recognition. The kind that understands survival was not accidental. As Christmas draws closer in this narrative, anticipation builds naturally. Not the anxious kind, but the peaceful expectation that something good is approaching. This anticipation is spiritual readiness. Jesus often says, according to your faith, let it be done. Faith is not excitement. Faith is rest. And rest has entered the home. Santa's role here reminds us that belief matures. It does not disappear. Childlike faith grows into confident expectation. The miracle arriving will honor that journey. The family begins to talk differently about the future. Plans feel possible again. Dreams no longer feel foolish. That shift alone is evidence that darkness has lost authority. Archangel Michael declares that the next phase will involve confirmation through people. Someone will speak words that resonate deeply. Someone will offer help unexpectedly. Someone will open a door they did not even realize was closed. These interactions are not random. They are assignments. Pay attention to this truth. God often answers prayers through people, not lightning bolts. When hearts are aligned, heaven uses human hands. For you listening, this is an invitation to stay spiritually alert. Miracles often arrive disguised as normal days. If you are waiting for something dramatic, you may miss the holy in the ordinary. The chosen home will soon realize that what they thought they needed was not the full picture. God is exceeding expectations quietly. Not flashy but thorough. This part of the journey is about stability. God is ensuring that when the main miracle manifests, it does not shake them. It strengthens them. You are witnessing the anatomy of divine intervention. First, internal revealing, then alignment, then confirmation, then manifestation. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is accidental. Hold this in your spirit, because what comes next reveals the moment when heaven's plan becomes visible, and why this Christmas will never be remembered as ordinary again. My beloved one, Now we arrive at a critical turning point, because this is where preparation meets manifestation. What has been happening quietly in that chosen home is about to intersect with the visible world. This is the phase where heaven's work begins to show traces that cannot be explained away as coincidence. The family may still call it good timing, but deep inside, they will know it is more than that. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity here. He reveals that the season of internal strengthening has reached its fullness. The foundation has been repaired. The cracks have been sealed. What once would have collapsed under pressure is now ready to stand. This is why the miracle could not come earlier. Strength had to mature. Inside that home, something subtle but powerful happens. Someone wakes up with unusual confidence. Not pride, not excitement, but calm certainty. Decisions that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable. Fear no longer drives conversations. Wisdom replaces panic. This is evidence that spiritual authority hath been restored. Jesus often moved this way. Before multiplying bread, he gave thanks. Before raising Lazarus, he spoke calmly. Power never rushes. Power rests. Santa's symbolic presence continues to represent the return of uncomplicated joy. In that home, celebration no longer feels like pretending. Even small moments feel meaningful again. Laughter does not echo with guilt. Rest does not feel irresponsible. Joy is being redeemed. Archangel Michael confirms that this is the phase where distractions attempt one final time to pull attention away. Not through fear, but through busyness. Sudden obligations. Unexpected noise. Mental clutter. The goal is simple. Make them miss the moment when heaven moves. That is why awareness matters now. For you listening, this part carries instruction. When God is about to act, life often feels normal but slightly accelerated. Pay attention. A miracle may arrive wrapped in routine. In the chosen home, there will be a moment that seems small to others but feels significant to them. A message, a meeting, a realization, a shift in circumstances. This is the marker. This is how they will know heaven has crossed over from preparation into action. Archangel Michael declares that once this marker appears, momentum will increase. What felt slow will suddenly feel synchronized. Things will start to line up without force. Resistance will fade naturally. This is where faith becomes sight. If this message is resonating with you, do not keep it quiet. Participate in spreading it. Like this video so the algorithm carries it to more waiting hearts. Share it with someone who needs reassurance that God has not forgotten their address. Comment to declare your agreement, because spoken faith carries power. Subscribe to this channel and stay connected, because these messages are not random. They are released with intention. Join the community that believes divine intervention is still active. And hear this gently but clearly. Stay with this message. What is coming next explains the exact nature of the miracle and how it will unfold in a way no one in that home expects. You will want to witness this moment, because it will sharpen your discernment for your own life. Back in the chosen house, peace continues to deepen. Not passive peace, but grounded assurance. The family no longer feels like they are bracing for impact. Instead, they feel like they are being carried forward. Jesus is not just restoring outcomes. He is restoring rhythm. Life begins to flow again. Rest and effort find balance. Hope no longer feels fragile. Santa's role here reminds us that expectancy has returned. The family allows themselves to look forward again. That alone is a miracle for those who have lived in survival mode for too long. Archangel Michael confirms that protection remains active, but now it shifts from defense to guidance. Instead of blocking attacks, heaven begins opening paths. The sword that once guarded now points forward. For many listening, this part may feel personal. You may recognize yourself in this season of calm before visible change. Do not underestimate it. Calm is not absence. Calm is alignment. The chosen home is standing at the edge of something that will alter their story. Not in a way that makes headlines, but in a way that reshapes their future. Stability. Gravian. Restoration. These words are about to gain real meaning. Remember this truth. God does not tease his children with hope. When hope rises, fulfillment is near. Stay attentive. Stay receptive. What comes next reveals how heaven completes what it has begun, and why this Christmas will become a reference point they will speak about for the rest of their lives. Beloved heart, now we step into the moment where understanding deepens, because what is unfolding is no longer just preparation or alignment, but revelation. This is the phase where meaning rises to the surface. The chosen home begins to realize that what they endured was not meaningless, and the waiting was not punishment. It was positioning. Inside that house, reflection begins naturally. Past seasons start to make sense. Moments that once felt like rejection are now seen as redirection. Losses that once felt cruel are recognized as protection. This shift does not come from reasoning. It comes from perspective. Heaven is lifting the veil gently. Archangel Michael reveals that this is the stage where clarity replaces confusion. When God restores, he does not only give answers, he changes the questions. The family no longer asks, "Why did this happen to us?" Instead, they begin to sense, "What is this preparing us for?" That shift alone signals maturity. Jesus often taught through understanding rather than explanation. He allowed people to discover truth in stages, because revelation that arrives too quickly can overwhelm the heart. What is happening now is measured, intentional, and deeply personal. In the chosen home, someone notices that old pain no longer defines them. Memories may still exist, but they no longer control emotions. Triggers lose their power. This is not forgetting. This is healing. Santa's presence in this message continues to represent something sacred, the restoration of wonder without naivety. The family is no longer afraid to hope, but they are also no longer reckless. Joy has grown wiser. Faith has grown steadier. Archangel Michael confirms that wisdom is being released alongside blessing. What is coming will not destabilize them. It will elevate them responsibly. God is not just answering prayers. He is entrusting stewardship. This part of the journey is quiet but profound. Many people miss it because it does not look dramatic. But heaven values this phase deeply. Without it, miracles become burdens instead of blessings. The chosen home begins to speak differently. Gratitude replaces complaint. Vision replaces fear. Even silence feels fuller. This is evidence that alignment has reached the soul level. For you listening, this is a mirror. If you are in a season where your inner world feels calmer even though circumstances are still unfolding, recognize it. You are not behind. You are ahead. Archangel Michael speaks again and says that this miracle will not just change circumstances, it will change legacy. What this family learns in this season will shape how future generations walk in faith. Endurance is being turned into wisdom. Jesus often healed bodies, but he always transformed identities. The chosen home is discovering who they are without survival mode. That discovery is powerful. There is a sacred pose here. Not delay, but reverence. Heaven is allowing space for gratitude to take root before the next movement. Gratitude anchors blessings so they do not drift. Santa's symbolism reminds us that gratitude and joy belong together. Celebration without gratitude fades quickly. Gratitude without joy feels heavy. God is restoring both. Archangel Michael confirms that during this phase, discernment sharpens. The family will begin to sense what belongs in their future and what does not. They will release certain connection naturally. They will protect their peace without guilt. This is not isolation. This is wisdom. Something important must be said now. The miracle is closer than it feels. Often, the final stretch feels the quietest. That is because noise is no longer needed. Everything is in place. The chosen home may experience a brief moment of reflection that feels emotional. Tears may come, not from pain but from relief. That release is holy. It marks the end of striving. Jesus stands present here, not as rescuer from chaos, but as companion into promise. He walks with them now, not ahead of them, not behind them. With them. Archangel Michael declares that what is coming will confirm everything that has been spoken. There will be no confusion when it arrives. The family will recognize it immediately. Peace will accompany it. Clarity will surround it. For you, this part is an invitation to trust the process. God does not waste seasons. Every stage has purpose. If you are learning, healing, and growing quietly, you are right on time. The chosen home is nearly at the threshold. Not rushing, not forcing, simply arriving. What comes next reveals the first visible expression of the miracle itself, and how it will arrive in a way that feels both surprising and perfectly fitting. Stay attentive. Stay open. The story is about to turn a page. My beloved child, now we arrive at a sacred unveiling, because this is the moment when what was hidden begins to breathe in the open. Not loudly, not dramatically, but unmistakably. The miracle does not announce itself with noise. It reveals itself with recognition. When it appears, the chosen home will not question it. Their spirit will know before their mind catches up. Archangel Michael stands firm at this threshold. He declares that the waiting season has completed its assignment. Nothing more needs to be proven. Nothing more needs to be endured. What is coming is not a test. It is a response. Inside the home, an ordinary day begins like any other. The same routine. The same environment. And yet, something feels different. There is a sense of expectancy that cannot be explained. The air feels lighter. Time feels slower. Awareness sharpens. Heaven often chooses normal days to deliver extraordinary shifts so that no one mistakes the source. Jesus moves gently in this moment. He does not rush in with force. He enters through peace. A conversation unfolds that was not planned. An opportunity presents itself that was not chased. An answer arrives without struggle. This is how divine favor works. It meets you where you are, not where you pretend to be. Santa's presence in this sacred narrative reflects the restoration of joy fulfilled. Not the anticipation of joy, but the experience of it. The kind that settles in the chest and says, "It is finally okay to breathe." In that home, relief washes over hearts that forgot what relief felt like. Archangel Michael confirms that the miracle manifests in a way that answers more than one prayer at once. What seemed like separate needs are addressed through a single act of divine precision. This is how you recognize God's handwriting. One movement. Multiple healings. The family may look at each other in silence afterward. No shouting. No dramatic reaction. Just stillness. Stillness filled with gratitude. Stillness that understands survival has shifted into provision. This is important. The miracle does not remove responsibility. It removes fear. The family still has a future to steward, but now they walk into it strengthened, not depleted. God never rescues his children just to abandon them again. He restores with continuity. For you listening, let this land deeply. God does not forget addresses. He does not overlook quiet faith. He does not dismiss endurance. What he begins, he completes. As this miracle unfolds, confirmation follows quickly. Another sign, another alignment, another door opening without effort. These are not coincidences stacking up. They are evidence that heaven is backing what has begun. Archangel Michael declares that the atmosphere around this home has permanently shifted. What once drained them will no longer have access. What once delayed them will no longer control timing. Peace has claimed territory. Jesus stands present not as a visitor now, but as a restorer of identity. The family begins to see themselves differently, not as survivors, but as carriers of testimony. Their story has weight now. Their voice has authority. Santa's symbolism reminds us that joy fulfilled matures into generosity. The family will not hoard what they received. They will share it through kindness, through compassion, through presence. Blessing that is shared multiplies. If this moment resonates with your spirit, do not let it pass quietly. Type "I receive the miracle" moment in the comments if this aligns with your faith. Blessing code 8080 has just been activated over your life. And now hear this carefully, because this invitation flows directly from what you just witnessed. As God releases miracles into homes, he also calls helpers to carry the message beyond those walls. I hear the Spirit say, those who water others will be watered themselves. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal found in the description, you are sowing into living soil. You are helping light reach homes still waiting in silence. This is not charity. This is obedience. I declare over every giver that your seed will open doors no human hand could open. Do not hesitate. Move now. Align now. Release now. A miracle has begun, but the story is not finished. What comes next reveals how this single moment triggers a chain of restoration far beyond what the family imagined, and why this Christmas will mark the beginning of a completely new chapter. Stay present. Stay open. Heaven is still speaking. Beloved one, now we move into the aftermath of the miracle, a phase many people overlook, yet heaven considers it sacred. What happens after divine intervention is just as important as the moment it arrives. This is where transformation settles in, where change becomes permanent instead of temporary. In the chosen home, the miracle does not fade with time. Instead, it anchors itself into daily life. The family does not wake up the next day wondering if it was real. They wake up knowing something fundamental has shifted. The air feels different. Decisions feel lighter. The future no longer feels like a question mark but a pathway. Archangel Michael reveals that this stage is called establishment. When God moves, he does not just visit, he builds. The miracle was not meant to create a high point followed by confusion. It was designed to reset the trajectory of this household. Jesus remains present, not dramatically but faithfully. His presence now feels familiar rather than overwhelming. The family does not feel watched, they feel accompanied. This is how divine relationship matures. All gives way to trust. Santa's symbolism in this season evolved as well. The joy that once felt surprising now feels sustainable. The family learns that joy is not something to chase. It is something to protect. They begin to guard their peace intentionally. They say no without guilt. They rest without apology. Archangel Michael confirms that wisdom is increasing. The family is able to discern opportunities clearly. Not every open door is rushed through. They no longer move from fear of lack. They move from confidence in provision. That shift alone protects the miracle from misuse. Something else begins to happen quietly. Others notice. Not because the family boasts, but because peace has a presence. Stability speaks. Gratitude radiates. People around them sense change and ask questions. This is how testimony spreads without force. Jesus often said that a city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Light does not announce itself. It simply shines. The chosen home becomes a place of safety for others. Conversations feel easy there. Laughter comes naturally. People leave feeling lighter than when they arrive. The miracle extends beyond circumstances and into atmosphere. Archangel Michael declares that this is intentional. What God establishes in one home often becomes refuge for many. Blessing was never meant to terminate on itself. For you listening, this part carries reassurance. If you have ever wondered what happens after God answers a prayer, this is your answer. He stays. He sustains. He teaches stewardship so blessings endure. The family begins to reflect on the journey behind them. Not with pain, but with perspective. They realize that every delay shaped them. Every hardship refined them. Nothing was wasted. This realization brings peace, not regret. Santa's presence reminds us again of childlike faith now matured. Belief no longer depends on signs. Trust has roots. Joy has depth. Expectation has balance. Archangel Michael confirms that the miracle is now protected by understanding. What is understood is less likely to be lost. The family knows where their help came from. They know who carried them. Gratitude becomes part of their identity. There is also a gentle warning here. Not a threat, but wisdom. Blessing must be maintained with humility. The family senses this instinctively. They remain grounded. They remain thankful. They remain teachable. Jesus continues to guide them forward, not by removing every challenge, but by ensuring no challenge overwhelms them. Strength has replaced fragility. As Christmas settles into memory, it does not fade like other seasons. It becomes a marker, a reference point, a moment they will return to whenever doubt tries to speak again. This is what God does. He leaves reminders of His faithfulness. For those listening who are still waiting, this part matters deeply. It shows you that when God moves, He does not disappear afterward. He builds stability, not dependency on moments. The chosen home now walks differently. Not rushed, not fearful, not desperate. They walk with assurance. They have learned how to recognize divine rhythm. Archangel Michael speaks one final truth in this phase. He says that what has been established cannot be undone by old patterns. The past no longer has authority. New ground has been claimed. This is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of multiplication. What comes next reveals how this miracle begins to ripple outward, touching lives beyond the family, and why their obedience to receive becomes the doorway for others to believe again. Stay with this unfolding. What is ahead carries impact far beyond what you expect. My beloved one, now we step into a phase that feels outwardly calm but spiritually powerful, because this is where multiplication begins quietly. What God established in that chosen home does not stay contained. Blessing never does. It moves like fragrance, noticed before it is explained. This is the season where impact expands without effort. In the chosen house, life continues, yet everything carries a new tone. Mornings feel grounded. Even challenges are approached with confidence instead of anxiety. The family is no longer asking, "Will we survive this?" They are asking, how do we steward this well? That question alone proves transformation has taken root. Archangel Michael reveals that when God completes a cycle, he does not close it, he upgrades it. The miracle was not the finish line. It was the doorway into a new level of responsibility and influence. What this family now carries is not just relief, but authority. Jesus continues to guide gently, not through pressure, but through discernment. The family becomes more intentional with time, energy, and relationships. They are not isolating, but they are selective. Peace has become too valuable to gamble with. Santa's symbolic presence now represents generosity flowing from fullness. The family begins to give without fear of lack. Time, attention, kindness, encouragement. They notice that the more they give, the more stable they feel. This is not loss. This is circulation. Archangel Michael confirms that the circulation is intentional. What God stabilizes, he multiplies. Blessing that moves does not stagnate. People around them continue to notice subtle changes. Not wealth, not status, but presence. Calm presence. People feel heard around them. Safe. Understood. This is how God uses restored lives. Not as advertisements, but as anchors. Jesus often healed quietly, yet entire towns shifted because peace followed him. The same principle applies here. For you listening, this part is deeply practical. If you are waiting for life to suddenly become perfect before you feel useful, hear this clearly. God uses healed people, not perfect ones. Your restoration is already valuable. Archangel Michael reveals that during this season, discernment becomes sharper. The family senses when to speak and when to stay silent, when to move and when to wait. This sensitivity protects what God has built. This is also the season where gratitude must stay active. Not loud gratitude, but daily recognition. The family understands that remembrance keeps blessings alive. Forgetfulness weakens them. As this message continues, let me speak directly to you now. If these revelations are strengthening your faith, participate in spreading them. Like this video so the message continues moving. Share it with someone who feels overlooked or forgotten. Comment to declare that you believe God still intervenes. Subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to these timely releases. Join the community that understands divine timing is real and personal. And stay with this message. The next revelation explains how what started in one home begins to influence others in ways no one planned. This is where the story becomes bigger than the family itself. Back in the chosen house, the family experiences moments of reflection. Not heavy but thankful. They realize how close they came to giving up, how easily bitterness could have taken root, and how precisely heaven intervened. Santa's symbolism here reminds us that belief protected them. Even when answers were delayed, belief kept the door unlocked. Now, belief has matured into confidence. Archangel Michael confirms that the protection surrounding this family now extends to their influence. What they touch carries peace. What they speak carries reassurance. What they offer carries weight. Jesus remains present as teacher now. He is showing them how to walk forward without losing humility, how to enjoy blessing without forgetting dependence. This balance is sacred. For those listening who are still waiting, do not rush your process. If God is still teaching you, it means He is still investing in you. Preparation is proof of promise. A chosen home does not become perfect, but it becomes stable. And stability is often the miracle people underestimate. This part of the journey teaches us that God's work is not just about rescue. It is about transformation that lasts. What comes next reveals how this transformed home becomes a signpost for others, and how their testimony begins to awaken faith far beyond their walls. Stay open. Stay expectant. The story is still unfolding. Beloved soul, now we arrive at a deeply meaningful stage, one that many never recognize while they are in it. This is the phase where testimony awakens. Not testimony spoken from a stage, but testimony lived so clearly that others begin to feel hope again simply by being near it. What God has done in the chosen home now begins to speak without words. The family does not announce their miracle. They do not explain it loudly. They simply live differently, and the difference carries weight. Their peace is steady. Their reactions are measured. Their faith is no longer defensive. It is settled. This is how transformation reveals itself. Archangel Michael makes something very clear here. He says that when God restores a home, He also restores its spiritual sound. The frequency changes. Fear no longer dominates conversations. Despair no longer shapes decisions. Faith becomes the undertone of everything. Jesus continues to walk closely with this family, not correcting them constantly, but affirming them quietly. They sense His guidance in small choices. What once required prayer filled with anxiety now flows from discernment. This is maturity. Santa's symbolic presence now reflects something profound. The joy that once felt fragile is now protected. The family no longer fears disappointment. They understand that even if challenges come, they will not face them the same way again. Hope has proven itself trustworthy. People begin to open up around them. Friends, relatives, even strangers sense safety. Conversations deepen unexpectedly. Someone shares a struggle they have never voiced before. Someone admits they are tired of pretending they are okay. This is not coincidence. Restored homes become healing spaces. Archangel Michael confirms that this is intentional. God often uses healed people as bridges for others who are still crossing painful seasons. What the family endured now gives them compassion, not pride. For you listening, this part matters because it reveals a higher purpose behind waiting. God does not delay answers without reason. Often, He is shaping you into someone who can carry the answer without losing your heart. The chosen home now understands something they did not before. They see that their suffering gave them language for others' pain. Their endurance gave them patience. Their restoration gave them credibility. Jesus often healed people and then said, "Go and tell." Not to boast, but to awaken faith. The same principle applies here. Your story, even when shared quietly, stirs belief in others. Santa's symbolism reminds us that belief spreads through example. When someone sees joy restored after loss, it gives permission to hope again. When someone sees peace after chaos, it challenges despair. Archangel Michael declares that the ripple effect has begun. One conversation leads to another. One encouraged heart encourages someone else. The miracle multiplies through presence, not promotion. The family does not feel burdened by this role. They feel honored. God never assigns weight without also supplying strength. They are not trying to save anyone. They are simply being who God restored them to be. This is where legacy begins to form. Not through grand achievements, but through consistent faithfulness. Children observe. Friends notice. Patterns change. For those listening who feel unseen, hear this carefully. God sees quiet obedience. He sees integrity when no one applauds. And when He restores you, He will also use you in ways you never planned. The chosen home now carries peace into environments that once drained them. They no longer absorb anxiety from others. They bring calm instead. This is authority. Jesus remains at the center of their rhythm, not as a last resort but as a daily presence. Their relationship with him is no longer built on desperation. It is built on trust. Archangel Michael confirms that what has been established will endure. Temporary emotions may fluctuate, but the foundation is secure. This miracle was not seasonal. It was structural. As Christmas becomes a memory, its impact does not fade. It becomes a reference point. Whenever doubt whispers, they remember. Whenever fear tries to rise, they remember. God intervened once. He can do it again. For you listening, this part is reassurance. If God restored them fully, He can restore you deeply. If He established peace there, He can establish it in your life too. The story is approaching its final revelation now. What began as one home being chosen is about to be understood as part of something far larger. The final unfolding will reveal why heaven never intended this miracle to remain private. Stay present. Stay receptive. The last movement carries both blessing and instruction, and it is meant to seal everything you have heard. My beloved child, we have reached the final unfolding, not an ending but a sealing. What heaven began in silence, what was prepared through endurance, what was revealed through restoration, now receives its meaning. This miracle was never just about one Christmas, one house, or one moment. It was about proof. Proof that God still enters ordinary homes. Proof that waiting is not wasted. Proof that faith held quietly still moves heaven loudly. The chosen home now understands something deeply sacred. They were not chosen because they were special. They became special because they did not quit. Heaven does not look for perfection. Heaven looks for persistence. And this family, without realizing it, became a living altar of endurance. Archangel Michael speaks one last time in this message, not with warning, but with declaration. He says that what God has established in this home is now permanent. The season of instability is closed. The chapter of survival has ended. A new chapter of stewardship has begun. Jesus stands present, not as a rescuer anymore, but as Lord over what has been restored. The relationship has shifted. Faith is no longer reactive. It is relational. The family does not chase reassurance. They walk in trust. That is the highest form of peace. Santa's symbolism reaches its fulfillment here. Belief has come full circle. What began as fragile hope has matured into confident joy. Not excitement that fades, but joy that anchors. The kind of joy that remains even when life is quiet. The home that was once heavy is now light. Not because problems never come, but because fear no longer leads. Laughter is real. Conversations are honest. The future feels open instead of threatening. This is what Christmas was meant to do. Not distract, not impress, but restore. And now comes the most important truth of all. This story was never meant to stay with them. You were meant to hear it because your faith needed confirmation. Your waiting needed validation. Your endurance needed acknowledgement. You may not live in that house, but the same God who entered it knows your address too. If you are still here, it is because this message has touched something deep. Do not dismiss that. Heaven does not stir hearts without intention. Type "I receive the finished work" in the comments if your spirit agrees with this message. Blessing code 1212 has now been released over your life. I hear the Spirit saying, those who help carry this light will never walk in darkness. This message reached you because someone before you helped make space for it. Now it is your turn to respond. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal found in the video description, You are not funding content. You are fueling transformation. You are placing oil in the lamp so the light does not go out for the next waiting home. I declare over every giver that your obedience will speak for you in rooms you have not entered yet. Doors will open. Provision will align. Peace will multiply. Do not delay. Obey the stirring. Release now and watch heaven respond.